Welcome to the UND Intramural Ice Hockey Online Captain's PowerPoint. The Assistant Director of Wellness Programs is Patrick Marco, and the Intramural Program Manager for Ice Hockey is Chris Lee. All games will be played at the Ralph Engelstad Arena on the main and/or Olympic rinks. Here are the starting and ending dates of the regular season league and the playoff season for this. As the captain, you serve as the liaison between the intramural program and your team. Make sure you are familiar with all sport rules and intramural policies. Make sure that each of your players are eligible to participate, and let them know of scheduled game times. Let us know if you're unable to make it, and regularly check your email for updates from the intramural staff. Before their first contest, each one of your players must be registered and join your team's roster on INTRAMURAL, where you will be able to find all schedules, rules, and free agent listings. In order to be eligible, all players must be a UND student or a faculty or staff member with a Wellness Center membership, be on your INLeague's team roster, and have their UND ID on them. Teams may have only 2 sport club members or former college varsity athletes competing in similar or related sports, and/or pro or semi-pro athletes that haven't competed at that level in the past 2 years. Players can be added to the roster at any time before playoffs, but they can only play for one team. Ineligible players CONT will subject themselves and their team to penalties outlined in the Intramural Handbook. Each team in every game will be rated on a 1 to 4 point scale for their sportsmanship before, during, and after a contest. If a player is ejected from a contest, that player will be suspended from their next game. A forfeit occurs when a team has no players on site at game time. That team will then be ineligible for playoffs, and if they receive 2 forfeits, the team will be dropped from the league. A default occurs when a team has players present, but the minimum number has not yet been met. Or if the captain notifies the intramural office that they will not be attending a game at least 6 hours in advance. If they receive 2 defaults, the team will be ineligible for playoffs, and if they receive 3 defaults, they will be dropped from the league. To compete in playoffs, teams must have won at least 2 games, a cumulative sportsmanship rating of 3 or higher, no forfeits, and no more than 1 default. Only players that participated in the regular season can participate in playoffs, and playoff scheduling may be different than regular season scheduling. No individual is allowed to be in possession or under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Any player caught will be immediately removed, suspended from their next game, and reported to UND safety. Team names must be appropriate. If deemed inappropriate by intramural staff, they will be immediately changed. The intramural staff is first aid and CPR certified and will provide initial emergency care to any injured parties. Participation is voluntary. Any bleeding players must immediately leave the game area and cannot return until the wound is covered, the bleeding has stopped, and any blood-stained clothing has been removed. Report all injuries to the intramural staff. Team uniforms are not mandatory, but they are recommended. Players must have a fully strapped helmet with a face shield, hockey gloves, covered shin pads, and skates. All jewelry must be removed before all intramural contests. The intramural program does have a limited inventory of equipment, but players should make arrangements to provide their own. There are no rules about the gender of your teammates, and game consists of 3 15-minute periods. Each team was given 1 30-second timeout per game. There are no more than 2 coaches allowed on the team bench, and any team ahead by 10 goals in the last 5 minutes of play will be declared the winner. If the game is still tied after 3 periods during the regular season, there will be a 3-player shootout. If still tied after the shootout, there will be a 2-player shootout. If still tied after that, the game will end in a tie. During playoffs, the clock will stop if the score is within 2 goals with 3 minutes or less in the 3rd period. Overtime will be 4 versus 4 for 5 minutes. If still tied after that, there will be a 5-player shootout, and then a sudden death period. Here are a list of the minor penalties, which are served for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, major penalties, which are served for 5 minutes, plus the ejection from the game, plus the suspension of your next game, and the major penalties, which are served for 5 minutes, plus ejection from your game, plus expulsion from the league. Some of the most questioned rules are icing, which occurs at the far blue line, that teams only have 1 timeout per game, and slap shots are any stick that's raised above the knee during the shot and result in a 2.5-minute minor penalty. Remember that ties during the regular season result in a 3-player, then 2-player shootout, and then a tie, and that players need to have a half shield on their helmet with a strap, and that players can only play for 1 team unless they are an intramural official or a goalie. This video is only a small overview of the rules. Please read and be familiar with all sport rules and the Intramural Handbook. Ignorance of the rules is not an excuse, and remember all official calls are final. Like the Wellness Center Facebook page for all Wellness Center event updates at facebook.com/UNDWellness. For a full list of intramural sports, visit IMLeagues.com/UND. Thanks for watching. If you have any further questions, please visit UND.com/intramurals.